What's good, my people? I hope you're doing well. I today wanted to talk about making a change in your life and how fucking scary it is. Because I talk to a lot of you guys, and you're talking about wanting to move into the online space, or even going to the gym for the first time, or moving out of home for the first time, and you're just scared of taking that leap of faith. And even though there'll be a long list of reasons why it would be beneficial, like going to the gym, right? There's only benefits to going to the gym, but even then, you'll still feel somewhat scared to take that first step and make that change. And I'm here to say, like, I completely get where you're coming from. And I'd be lying if I was saying that I didn't feel the same way about different things. When I first moved out of home, I was 18 years old, and I was fucking terrified. I knew I needed to do it because of my situation. I was actually getting kicked out of home because I wasn't continuing my apprenticeship, and I wasn't doing anything to work on my career. So I had to make that move, and even though I knew it was beneficial and I knew I'd grow in character and be a better person, and obviously put that pressure on me to make something work, it was fucking terrifying. Same with going to the gym for the first time. I used to be skinny as fuck. I still am. Like, I'm not big or anything, but when I first was like, okay, I need to go to the gym. I need to start taking care of my health and nutrition. I'm like, bro, there's only benefits to doing this. There are only good things that'll come from, making this change and taking this first step. But I was so worried about, something going wrong or getting judged for it, or, I don't know, 101 different things. But it's funny how we'll think to ourselves, fuck, man, like, I need to make a change. I'm sick of the situation I'm in right now, being stuck at living home with my parents, or, being skinny or being fat. I'm sick of being there. I'm sick of being broke. And it's like, yes, I need to make a change to solve that problem, but taking that initial step is just fucking terrifying. And it's crazy how that works, right? I think the way you got to think about it is that no matter what you do when you're trying something brand new, you're going to fail, right? I think a lot of people, the reason that they're so worried about taking that first step is things going wrong, things not going to plan. And the thing is, though, is it's fucking inevitable for shit to go wrong. Like, it's gonna happen. It's almost impossible for shit to go 100% right. But the thing is like, no one actually learns and gets better when they're always winning, right? It's once they cop a loss that they go, fuck, I need to do something about this. I need to fix my mistakes. I need to figure out what's going wrong and then learn from that, so then you can prevent it in the future. So, you know, I think that's a big reason people are so afraid of, shit going wrong. But, shit's gonna go wrong regardless, man. That's where you learn. And the way you got to sort of think about it is like, how long, or how much longer are you willing to stay in the same position that you're in right now? And, look, I've been there, especially with the online space was probably one of the biggest risks I ever took, because mentioning, moving out of home for the first time. So my whole, uh, does that look gay? My whole like journey was that I didn't want to continue my apprenticeship, right? I was third year chippy, um, just didn't want to continue working in construction. The whole time I knew working my trade, I didn't want to continue, finish it. I just didn't see myself doing it long term. I was only doing my trade because I didn't like school. So I knew uni wasn't for me. I knew doing a trade wasn't for me. But I actually was afraid of change because, what else is there? There are a few different, like, oh, in Australia, you can do TAFE courses, or, go to the army, go to the military. Um, you can work a dead end job, like at a retail store of some sort. But none of those were things I wanted to go down. The life that I wanted to live for myself, now this may sound cliche, but it was a life of freedom. And I always would see, especially people that I'd work with on the job site in construction, being in a position that I didn't want to be in. These like 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-olds, fully qualified, been in the construction game for, 10 plus years, 20, 30, 40 years, and they're still broke. And their lifestyle is just the worst. You know, Drinking beers every weekend or every night almost, gambling, getting on the punt, um, doing drugs, going out all the time, partying, you know, just shitty diet. Like, I just always hated the tradie culture. You know, it's funny, it's fun, but it's no way to live. You know, and it's not like it's not a place that you want to be in if you want to be the best version of yourself. Like, to be honest, when I'm going a little bit off track here, but when I was like working on trying to build more muscle and going to the gym for the first time, I was bringing like chicken and rice to work, and I would get so much shit for doing that. It was like a big reason that I was scared of going to the gym and continuing to go is like I would literally just cop shit for trying to eat healthier instead of eating meat pies and sausage rolls all day. You know, so change is fucking terrifying. But I knew I needed to do something about it because I'm like, man, I can see right now me finishing my apprenticeship and me sticking to this trade. I'm going to end up exactly like this 50-year-old in front of me who's broke, who's, no disrespect to them, but who's broke, barely paying off their mortgage, never being able to see their family because they're working all the time, just barely getting by, bad relationship with their wife, their missus, because they come to work every day and complain about it. Bro, their life looked miserable. And I'm like, dude, this is where I'm going to end up if I don't make a change. I have to do something about this. And for me, I've always had massive goals of, retiring my mom and giving back to her, paying off her mortgage, and, being able to set up my kids for a better future than I had, things like that, right? And I always knew, I'm looking at the future me and this 50-year-old guy. I'm like, that's where I'm going to end up. You look at the cost of living in Australia or even the world right now, it's like, man, it is only becoming more difficult to survive, especially working 9 to 5. And fuck me, like they don't increase the salaries or wages really at all. It's not on the same. You got inflation here, but our salaries are like maybe improving a little bit, a couple bucks an hour. Pay rise after a few years in your job. It's like it's not even fucking worth it. So I was in a position where I was like, I didn't really like my job that much. I didn't like where I was going. I need to make a change. And yeah, I feared making that initial change, but what I started thinking more of is, wouldn't I fear being in this exact same spot as this 50-year-old guy in front of me? And how fucked would that be? Because there's no going back. Once you get to his point, there's no real going back. The best time to start something like entrepreneurial and business orientated is when you're young, because that's when you can take the most risk. You have the least amount of responsibilities. When you're 50 years old, you got a kid, you got mortgage, you got a wife, you got all these extra responsibilities, potentially your own carpentry business, you got your own job, things like that. You got bills to pay. But when you're 18, 19, 20, and I mean still early 20s in general, you're in a position where you can take the most amount of risk as you would ever be able to. If things go south, you can go back to living with your parents, which obviously ideally you wouldn't want to, but when's going to be a better time to take risk? If you really want a better life for yourself, don't try it later, don't put it off, because most likely it's not going to happen like that. What's crazy is like most people that say to themselves, oh, I'm going to go to uni first or go finish my trade first, and that's my backup option, and then I'll work more towards, other things. Getting their qualification, getting their ticket is their backup, but then they never pursue the plan A or the plan A, whatever it is. They just get complacent. They can't be bothered. They most likely have too much responsibility to, try something else. And I think the way you got to think about change is it is fucking scary, 100%. There's no way it's going to be, easy to do, make a change in your life, because you're stepping into the unknown. You're stepping into the unguaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in life, but you're doing something that's going to be more difficult than just, showing up to work every day on a job site or showing up to class every day at university. But what you're doing is chasing a better life for yourself and a better life for your family. And there's no other way you can sort of go about getting that. And for me, it's like, and people really want that security and, just being able to make sure that they'll have a paycheck come in every week. And obviously that's great. I get it. But that $1,000 paycheck that you're getting every week, you're going to be stuck at that for the rest of your life. Like guarantee, yeah, it might get a little bit better over the years. You might get a couple extra $100 per week, over the 10, 20, 30 years. But it really is not fucking shit, man. It's not shit. That's how I saw it. And thing is, people always tell me, they're like, oh bro, why do you talk so much shit about the trades? I really don't care. If you guys like your job, I couldn't care less. That's actually great. At the end of the day, What is our goal in life? It's just to be happy, enjoy life. Praise God, enjoy life, right? So if you like your job, all power to you. But if you're someone that feels like they're meant for more and you want a better life for yourself, you got to make that change, because that idea in the back of your head that you are meant for more will always stay there, bro. I guarantee you, it'll keep itching the back of your head until the end of time. And I know this also sounds cliche, and it's probably been said by quite a few people, David Goggins being a good example, is imagine being on your fucking deathbed, or imagine going to heaven and they're playing your whole highlight reel and they're saying, man, you could have been this person. You could have been the guy that, was the first millionaire in your family, the guy that retired your fucking bloodline, or the guy that was that athlete, that guy that ran marathons, or that guy that was this amazing artist, or you know, this specific person. God shows you the potential you could have got to, but because you were so scared of making a change and just wanting to stay comfortable, you never reach that, and you can't do anything about it because you wasted all those years. And it's something you got to think about, is just that fear of not becoming the person you could be, and here's the thing, is that I strongly believe that success lies on the other side of fear, right? That fear is most likely a good thing. It's most likely a step in the right direction. Like, you got to think about it. These super successful people, you don't think that LeBron James, Elon Musk, um, Jeff Bezos, who's like a successful artist, like Drake or someone. I hate to use Drake as an example, but do you not think that these successful people that are making a lot of money, have a lot of status and a lot of fame, do you not think that they were fucking scared at one point? Like, they were at a stage where they were working a job just like us and thought to themselves, fuck, I need to go all in on being an artist, or all in on basketball, all in on that business. They would have been 100% scared for their fucking life, but they did it because they knew they had potential they could fulfill. And that's really it. Don't let fear be the reason you don't hit your potential. You don't reach your goals, man, because it'll, like I was saying before, it'll always fucking itch at you, man. And the thing is, as well, is it's like the worst thing you can do is not try. The biggest risk you could ever take is not taking a risk at all. And because what's going to happen if you do take that risk and it doesn't work out, right? You go back to the same spot you were at. Yeah, maybe you're working as a chippy right now. You take that risk, you spend some money, at least you fucking tried. You spend some time, you spend some money, you can make money back. Yeah, you can't get time back, but look, man, like, what are you doing with your time right now? You're working a job that you don't like, or you're in a position that you don't like. There's no hurt in trying, and trust me, man, dude, in 2024, I literally spent 8 months just trying shit, just fucking business model to business model, SMMA, drop shipping, ecom, reselling, fucking day trading, fucking crypto, fucking everything, bro. I spent over 10 grand. I wasted all that money. All the fucking money I had to my name, I wasted. I left my job, and I was renting as well, like I said, because I got kicked out of home. Dude, I had all the fucking pressure. I just kept trying, and then eventually I actually got so fucked up to the point where I had to go back to construction job, not to my old one, because I had moved cities, but I had to go back to construction, and that was a massive reality check. But I had two choices, right? I could say, fuck, man, I tried. I'm just going to keep working as a chippy, or keep working in construction. And I gave up. I gave it a good go, but I give up now. Or you could say, fuck, man, we had a decent run. You never fucking know unless you try. You never know unless you try again, bro. Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you're, maybe you missed a few at the start of 2024, but why not just fucking try again? Dude, something I fucking realize is you never actually fail until you give up. Like, the only way you actually lose at business is just giving fucking up, man. There was this Olympian that I saw the other day, and I don't know his name, so this is probably a bad example, but this guy, right, he was an Olympian for 12 fucking years, and he kept getting bronze medal after, just no medals at all, like not even placing third in the Olympics for 12 years straight, until that 12th year he got his fucking gold medal. Imagine in his first Olympics, he gave up and said, fuck me, this is not worth it. I cannot do this anymore. After fucking your first Olympics, he said, oh no, I can't do it. I'm just not capable of succeeding. Imagine he gave up. But because he kept working at it and was just fucking laser focused on making that shit work, by that 12th year, he finally got that gold medal that he wanted so fucking bad just because he stuck to it. Just because he made it fucking happen. And I truly believe that with business, man. I'm a very good example of that. I'm not sitting here saying I'm some successful fucking guy. I'm just like you guys. I'm just like everyone fucking else. I'm a normal, 20-year-old kid who used to be a tradie, dropped out of school. I'm not anyone special, but I just kept trying until something worked, and that's the attitude you gotta have. If you really want that lifestyle, you just gotta fucking keep giving it a crack until it happens. And it's fucking terrifying, but in my opinion, what's more terrifying? Being stuck in the same position forever? Or at least trying, bro. At least fucking trying to get out of that situation. Just taking that first step, taking that leap of faith. Yeah, maybe you wasted 6 months trying this new thing. Maybe you wasted 10 grand. You're going to be at that job for 40, 50 years. Do you not think that, on a larger scale, if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, 10 grand, bro, you can make that shit back. 6 months, bro, you have 40 years left at your job. But at least you fucking try to get out of that spot. And so, you just got to give it a shot, man. You just got to give it a shot. And that's really it.